Starting here just a minute, and there we go. All right, so yesterday I put out everybody's results for those mock interviews if I had them back. So if you had a mock interview, you should see those results out there. And of course, if you didn't have one, of course you did not. If you didn't have one, try to get a hold of career services, see if they will actually be able to get one in. There's not very much time for you to be able to get in, get one done, and for them to get results back. So if they will do it, that is completely up to them being just incredibly generous. Understand that that's not the way things typically work in reality. Being able to meet deadlines is a requirement of most things, and people tend to get the most upset when they don't get services or things done in exception for them. That's when people tend to get upset. I didn't do something and now you're not willing to accommodate me. That's when you see the things blow up on videos, TikTok, and that. I didn't follow the rules. Now I'm upset. So to keep that in mind, whenever something does go not correct, and you have to have special accommodations and that, always be extremely polite because remember, you are working outside the rules. You are the one that is having to have something unusual done, and that give and take is now the burden on you. And being polite is always the best way at all times, but understanding that places do have rules and requirements, and they cannot necessarily accommodate things outside that. So always be thankful when they can, appreciative, and never have the I am owed attitude. Okay. No matter what it is, where it is, always be grateful when people can accommodate anything out of the ordinary. All right, everybody got that? It's just a way of being nice. We've all worked in places where we have limits as to what we can do. Understand that person on the other side, they have limits as well. So if you have been in that situation where somebody is screaming at your face because you have limits as to what you can do, always remember that when you are on the other side and you want something done and there are limits as to what can be done. We all play in the same sandbox with rules and regulations and requirements. So always be polite and kind because at the end of the day, that other person is human. If you like them or not, they do have to play by rules. All right. So that is always a good thing is treat people with kindness the same way you want to be treated. Treat people with respect the same way you want to be respected. If you don't really care for the person, treat the position they are in. They are there for a reason, if you agree with it or not. And that is always a good way to get through workplaces. All right. So here we go. We are on Tuesday of the last week. Time really flies. And I have to tell you, yesterday, um, the question was, what is your biggest first day fear? I'd like to assure you almost everybody either fell on one response or the other. We all have these same fears. One of those is meeting people, fitting in. Places have cliques. Everyone knows what a clique is, being able to fit in with the groups that are already there. Nobody wants to be the outsider. Everyone knows that as soon as you are out of the room, everyone's going to go, have you met the new person? What's the new person like? Da, 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 da. We do it, so we know it's going to happen to us when we're the new person. Okay. Always be yourself. Don't try to be somebody that you think the other people are going to like. Okay. Be yourself, but put yourself out there in its real form. Okay. Don't hide away. Meeting people can be very overwhelming. There's going to be a lot of people there. Try to focus on a couple of people and then slowly work your way into the rest of the other people. Trying to grasp hold of everybody all at one time, that's going to be a bit much. Kind of like, when you see a plate full of food, you don't eat all the food at one time. Okay. You take bits of things at a time. Same thing with meeting people. You don't try to embrace the whole group at one time. Focus on people that you think might be a little bit easier for you to kind of mingle or meet with, and then you work your way through them, kind of like a social network, to be introduced to the others. That's going to lower your social anxiety, and that's going to allow you to work your way in a little bit better. All right. So hopefully that'll ease that. The other big one is people have a fear of making a big mistake, a big catastrophic mistake early on, and it's going to get them fired. This is a big thing. Half of you felt this way. Okay. And like I said, it was pretty much even split. Either you had the fear of not fitting in or the other fear of making this really large mistake early on, and you were going to be booted out of there. Okay. Um, they kind of expect mistakes early on. This is why you'll be given certain tasks where the impact is going to be minimal, and you're going to have somebody who's kind of there watching, guiding. When they tell you something may not be up to par, don't take it as a personal, oh my God, I'm messing up, I'm messing up, I'm messing up. What you're doing may be perfectly fine, but it may not be the way that particular company works. How many of you have worked in a place where you did things one way, but they do things a little bit different? All right. There's always multiple ways to do things. Okay. You're going to learn things here in school, but when you get on the job, you're going to learn the real way. Okay. This is the technical way you should do things, A, B, C. In the real world, you might do it A, C, B. This is quite common. I guarantee you those in the vet field, they're going to tell you always do this, this, and this. When you are wrestling with the Florida Panther, some of those rules kind of go out the door. No one read the rule book to that large cat when you're sitting on it. And so things happen. It happens when you're welding. When a beam starts to come down, you don't say, wait, stop, we didn't do step number 4 here. Everybody go back, do step number 4. Things change, and so you're going to have different on-the-job procedures. So listen. And when I say listen, I mean actually active listening, where you're hearing what they say and you're digesting it and you're following through. Okay. When you're just hearing things and not actually listening and you're not comprehending, and then you have to go back and say, what was it you said? What was it you said? Number one, that's disrespectful. It lets them know you weren't paying attention. You weren't focused on me. You weren't giving me the respect at that time to hear that what I had to say was important. And it could have not only kept you from being injured, but I don't necessarily think you respected my time and realized my time is valuable. So that's what we mean by actually listening and hearing and comprehending. That active listening is going to be key. Just like when we hold these classes, there are people that kind of put it on auto. They don't do active listening. And then when things don't go right, they wonder why. So that active listening is key. It's also a sign of respect. Not active listening, that's kind of disrespectful, no matter where it is, what it is. All right. So those are things that we need to work on, and that can help get through these first day anxieties. All right. Everybody got that? So once you take a look at those first day anxieties and break them down, they won't be so bad. Remember, they wanted you there for a reason. They recognized how good you are. your skills, your abilities. They want you there as much as you want to be there. So take a deep breath, analyze what's going on, and realize you can do this. Break down what you need to do bit by bit and take it one step at a time, and you will have this covered. All right. So that first day will not be so bad. You're still going to be a little nervous, but it won't be as overwhelming. Okay. So let's get to getting here. Here we are. We are in our final few days. Have some people that need to catch some things up. Don't forget, right here, Thursday, 10 p.m. at 10 o'clock, emails with things, excuses, any late assignments and that. Anything time stamped after 10 p.m., 10:01 will not be accepted, period. Okay, no exceptions. Any email comes in with a timestamp after 10 p.m., I don't open, period. Okay, store is closed, no exceptions, no excuses. That's it. Um, I can't have an exception for you that I don't offer the whole class, and I can't offer the class as a class ends. Everybody understands that. After 10 o'clock, those emails will not be opened. Those text messages will not be read. Okay? No exceptions. No, I worked over. No, I overslept. I didn't expect this to happen. My internet went down, etc. Okay? Making sure everybody is on the same page. Okay, here we are, week 4. Everyone should have done the discussion on this professional ethics scenario. If not, try to get that caught up. Today, this soft skills, the leadership in action, went over that briefly yesterday. There's 2 videos to watch. Make sure you go through, watch those, and respond to both scenarios. We've been discussing this at the campus level, making sure that people are reading the instructions and understanding what needs to be done. This is a skill that is really required in all these careers, is that you will be given written spec sheets and directions to follow. And part of that is this comprehension. I've had some people come through and they pick one or the other to respond to. You must discuss both, okay? If you don't discuss both, your answers can be brilliant, but you will not get full points. Following these instructions is imperative, okay? That means it is a requirement and not optional in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so tomorrow, your results, if you go in there and look, you'll see a score, but also you'll see your sheet attached. You'll see what they were checking and how they scored you. There were a lot of perfect scores out there, some that were not perfect. Again, these come from career services, and I put your actual sheets in there so you can see exactly what they scored you on, and that's where your grade came from. I didn't randomly choose these grades. This is what career services graded you on. Okay, your project for Q&A informational interview. This is the questions that you ask the person in management. Follows the same format that we did for our last informational interview. Should be a 200-word summary. Don't forget to include the name of the person that you interviewed and their position, and the questions that you asked and the information that you learned from. Again, these will be going through our AI checkers to make sure that nobody used AI. If AI is found, your project will be rejected. You'll get a 0, and that will be it. Okay. I'm not playing games with that. I run them through 6 AI checkers to make sure that it does come back with false information. All right. And then On Thursday, we will have a live class. That's always a question. There will be a live class on Thursday, and mostly we will be going over the final exam on that, and also your career plan, your final project. Again, you will need to do this template. You'll either need to download it or recreate this format. And that includes exactly what it is asking for. You'll need to put your long-term goals in under a section called My Goals. Under current competency skills, you'll have this heading here. You'll put your skills. This comes from your resume, and you'll need to know under here your entry-level positions, salaries, and qualifications. And then under anything else here, you're going to put any certifications you'll need, any opportunities that you can have. And then under action plan, this is where you're going to put in those short-term goals that match those long-term goals. If you did your part 2, this will be much easier to fill out because you'll have those short-term and those long-term goals that matched. If you did not do part 2 correctly, that's going to be a little more difficult. All right, so here we go. We are ready to move on. Get my iPad out here for this. Any questions so far? Everybody good? Everybody awake? All right. Making sure that people aren't out there chit-chatting, laughing, and playing on phones. Like I said, we have cameras available. We see what's going on. Okay? Right? I gotcha. Don't be so surprised. All right, here we go. Make sure I got my pencil on. Try a little smiley face. So we got 3 days left, including today. We are going to define professionalism. We're going to talk about multi-generational and multicultural, and we're going to talk about things to ensure a successful career. Now, some of these topics sound like we've been over them before, and we've kind of touched on them. Okay, so professionalism, this is a soft skill. Okay, professionalism is something that you improve upon. Okay, and it's your judgment, your character, and behavior that is expected. Okay, and this includes your workplace skills and those self-management skills. Okay, now some of these we've been talking about them in the discussion that you've already done, and these enable you to, as an individual, to control your personal habits. Okay, your punctuality, your dependability, your time management, and this is a big one, that emotional regulation. Okay, being on time. Um, Nobody wants you to be late, because if you're late, your coworkers have to take up that work. They will begin to resent you. They may not tell you this, but it wears on them. How many people hate it when your coworkers are late? You have to do their work. Yeah, if you're on a team, it's going to slow your team down, and your team could be punished. You might miss bonuses, things like that, because you're having to work with less workers. So this can become an issue. Okay, dependability. Okay, being able to get your work done. This is a big one, keeping one's words. You know, the people who say, I'm going to do this, and then they don't follow through. Don't promise what you can't do. Okay, this makes you unreliable. You're not trustworthy. Don't tell people you're trustworthy and then make promises, no matter how small they are, and don't follow through. If you tell someone you can do this and then say, oh, I forgot, or this came up, You are not trustworthy. Okay, you're not dependable, you're not reliable. No matter how many times you try to convince other people, you are not. Fix this. Don't tell people you can do things and then don't follow through. Be honest and have integrity. That all falls together. And make sure you're doing your share of the workload. Passing things off to other people, pretty soon they're going to pass you out the door. It's not being clever. It's not being smart, pushing things off on other people, because when it comes down to that time where they review you and you're asked to have those reviews done by your coworkers, it's going to come out because those reviews are anonymous, and it's going to come out that they don't consider you a valuable part of the company. The self-management, this is where you organize your time and your work assignments. You'll be given projects where you have a 2-week time span to complete things. But somewhere along that time span, they're going to come up and want to know where you are on that project. And if you're one of these people that likes to push everything off and rush at the end, they may not tell you, but if you're not at a certain point when they come up and check, they're going to pull you off that project. If you're lucky, they'll give you another project. But often the time, they just won't give you another project. They won't fire you. They just won't give you hours. Has anybody ever seen this? They don't fire people. They just don't give them hours. So you don't have hours to work. So you end up having to quit. And when you quit, you cannot collect unemployment. There's a reason why they don't fire you. They just don't give you hours. So organizing your time, you have to come up with a way that works for you. Some people do it in order of importance. Some people do it in what allows them to finish small tasks quicker. But you need to come up with a way that works for you. I would love to give you a magic way to say, do it this way, but everybody has to come up with a way that works for them. But find one that does work for you. If that's putting things in an order on a piece of paper, putting it in your phone, but find a way that works efficiently for you. Now, this is a big one. Emotional regulation. How many people have an issue with tempers, or they cry easily? They don't watch their emotions easily. They have to work on this. Okay. Right here, employees lacking this skill often lose their jobs. One of the biggest things, blowing your temper at work, they lose their jobs now. People are too worried about somebody showing back up with weapons, violence in the workplace. Employers don't take that anymore. You blow up, you blow out. Okay? Keep those emotions in check. Nothing on the job is worth getting upset over. What one thing is worth getting upset over? Somebody doesn't agree with you. Oh, well. Something happens outside of work, leave it at the door. Work is work. Okay. Nothing is worth losing your job over because you are upset. Somebody gets a project you wanted. Oh, well, there's other projects. Let them have it. Maybe they won't be successful. It's not your choice to make. Do not get upset over things like that. We don't get what we always want, and sometimes that's a good thing. You may find out that you get something better, or you may learn something that you didn't know before. Always look for the positive, never dwell on that negative. Now, you're going to work in most likely a multi-generational workplace. How many people work with people older and younger than them? You're not all the same age. Work with older and younger. Okay, this is a good thing. You can learn some things from younger people, but you can help teach them. That reinforces what you know. And older people can offer that experience, that mentorship, or you can teach them as well. So we're going to learn about these. You've heard of boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z. So Let's talk about these because these are definitely going to be on that final. There's a generation you probably haven't heard of. These people, look at them, 1920 to 1939, and they're still working. Only 2% of them are out in the workforce, but they're still there. They're retirees. They typically work part-time, and they value the tradition and history, and they believe in that hard work. Okay. And they started with a company and they worked that same company their entire life. Think about that. They never switched jobs. They stayed there forever. And that company rewarded them for that. Now, the boomers, how many people think of when they hear boomer? That's an insult. Okay, boomer, we've all heard this. Okay, it's not an insult. These people were born 1944 to 64. They were ambitious, competitive, and goal oriented. Okay, they wanted to make a difference. They're hardworking, disciplined, and independent, dedicated to the companies. And again, that was when companies were dedicated to them. You knew if you got with the right place, you could retire from them. Okay, you were rewarded all the way through. So they did put in the time, they did do the work. Anybody Gen X? These are people from the 60s and the 80s. Any Gen X's out there? Okay. Gen X's, I'm a Gen X. Okay. Now, a lot of social, economic, and technological changes. Okay. We started becoming independent. We saw the Berlin Wall fall. We did Woodstock. We did Farm Aid. We did USA for Africa. We were a lot of change. And right here was the first time you saw this work-life balance. Okay. We were adaptable, pragmatic, and self-sufficient. We started change. The 60s through the 80s was a lot of change. You saw a lot of things happen. Personal computers came into the homes in the 80s. A lot of people say, oh, I don't know computers. I don't know computers. They've been in the home since the 80s. Think about that. Okay, think how long those machines have been around. Most of them have been around longer than many of you. Now, where are my Gen Ys? From 81 to 96. Where are y'all? Okay, now you guys are tech savvy, ambitious, and collaborative. You like to work together. You like to work on group things, okay? And you want to be efficient. You like flexibility, but you're also socially responsible and you care about being social and environmental issues. You want to be with each other and do things together. You started the large groups. You started being more social, started being more out there. Whereas we were more independent, you want to be out there and working together, collaborative. Okay. That was a big change. Now, where's my Gen Zs? You haven't been raising those emojis by Gen Zs. You're digital natives, okay? The computers were here before you. You were the first people who never were without technology. You've never been without it. It's always been here. You've always had cell phones. You don't remember what it was like without cell phones. First cell phone friends of mine had, you had to carry it in a bag over your shoulder and it weighed 5 pounds. A phone call would cost you $10 to $15 for each phone call. Think about that as you sit there with your cell phone. Okay, you're digital natives, you're independent learners, but not necessarily independent. You like your technology and accessibility. You're adaptable to new technologies. You're open to diversity. You just want everybody to be everybody. You'd like your own business. You kind of like that. You want to be your own boss. How many of the millennials want to, or Gen Z want to be their own boss? Let's hear from you, Gen Zs. Yeah, you want your own. Social justice, everyone treated the same. Environmentalists, leave our environment alone. We want it there for everybody. Equality, treat everyone equal. And you're creative. You like things. You want to see new experiences. So y'all are very much moving forward. So you can see the conflict between Gen Z and the boomers. The boomers are like, we keep everything the same. We don't change. We don't change. And Gen Z's like, let's go forward. Let's try things. Let's do this. Let's do this. And then you have my generation's like, let everybody be free. Just love everybody. Everybody peace and love and happy. And we're kind of stuck in the middle. We don't understand why everybody can't get along. And so this is what it's like in a multicultural, generational workplace. So you can learn from everybody, but also understand where everybody else is coming from and try to respect their thoughts while you're hoping they respect yours. And if they don't, back away from them. Say, I see where you're coming from. I wish you could see where I was coming from. We'll agree to disagree and leave it at that. Okay. You're not going to get anywhere if you have such a difference of opinions and you can't change, you know, a zebra's stripes, if you will. What is their ingrained thought pattern is not going to change. So don't go there. Now, multicultural, how many people work with people from a varied background? They're all different backgrounds. And this has nothing to do with woke. That needs to come out of the description around workplaces. Okay, workplaces have always been diverse, but they could be more diverse. Okay, so we have set things up to make sure that there's not discrimination in hiring. And so hopefully that is being followed. Now, is it being followed the way it should be? I'll be honest with you. No, it is not. And so that's why some of the things have been put in place. And unfortunately, some are being taken out. So businesses should be diverse because if everybody thinks the same, acts the same, you don't necessarily get the widest range of ideas. So you are most likely working in a multicultural environment, and they're from different backgrounds, cultures, and identities. But that means you need to understand each other to be able to interact and collaborate. So you need to be open-minded, respectful, and communicative. So that means realize people are not going to think like you. And that's a good thing because if they thought everything like you, it wouldn't work out. Just like in your personal relationships, if your partner thinks identically to you, you probably wouldn't want them to be your partner because you want to find something that counterbalances you. Always be respectful of everybody in the work environment, period. And communicate. If you don't understand something, communicate with them, talk to them. The worst thing you can do is avoid. Okay? If you're using avoiding because you don't understand something, change that. That only makes the situation worse. So when it says embrace diversity, what that means is embrace the fact that you can learn from different people and build those relationships. Find out what it's like and learn from different people, their ideas, how they learn. They know different things. You know different things. Share those different ideas. Okay. This is a workplace. All right. Now, how many people know that Florida is a right to work state? Florida is right to work. Okay. So in a right to work state, they don't have to give you a reason to let you go. They can just let you go. They can say, you no longer work here. They do not have to give you a valid reason to let you go. Everybody knows that, but they do not have to give you a reason. They can just say you no longer work here. No reason whatsoever. So you have a company policy and you have procedures. And most likely you were given a handbook. How many people get handbooks and paperwork like that when you get hired? And you're asked to sign those, right? You're asked to sign for all those papers. So when you sign that is actually a contract. And people don't realize that's a contract between you and the company. And that helps you and it helps them. Because inside that, most likely there's what we call progressive discipline. And that usually looks something like they have to give you a verbal warning, then a written warning, some sort of suspension before termination. If your handbook has this supersedes or has priority over the state. Okay, this is a contract between you and them. So yes, they would have to give you a verbal warning, then a written warning, a type of suspension before they fire you. They could not just fire you the way the state says. They don't have to give you any notification. Okay, does everybody understand the importance of these handbooks if it's in there? So you need to check those because those give you rights and it tells you how things are conducted at work. Okay, so there is an important, and you should check to see what is in those. Because if it only says verbal warning and then termination, then they don't have to do these two things. Every company has a right to make their own, and that will go over that because you are signing an actual contract. All right. So make sure that you understand what you are to be following. Okay. Now you're going to spend a lot of hours at work. Okay. So you're going to need to make sure you are doing what you need to do. So you're going to need to continue your professional development. Okay. That means you are going to possibly have to do continuing work and making sure that you're getting some further education, continuing education, certifications, etc. Continue to network. That should be a given. You're going to meet other professionals. You need to grow that network. You need to continue to expand, get more education by meeting others in your field, and set realistic expectations. Where do you want to be in a few years? You really do need to think about it, even though it's a question people hate. How many people hate that question? Where do you see yourself in 3 years, 5 years, etc.? But you do need to think about that. What do you kind of expect to happen in your career? In 3 years, do you expect your career to be there or do you expect to be it somewhere else? If you expect to be somewhere else, maybe you don't want to buy that house. Or maybe you don't want that expensive car because you're going to be doing a move and you need to put that money towards that rather than that. So, and respect your money. Now is the time to start saving. Even if you're only putting in a couple of dollars a week, which sounds incredibly low, it's a start. No amount is too little. Start. Respect your money. Start putting into a 401k now. Start putting it in. Figure out a way to put a little bit in. Every bit helps. Okay. This is going to sound like people are going to say, everybody knows this. But do they? Because they don't follow it. Maintain professionalism in the workplace. Meet or exceed job performance expectations. People are like, I don't have to do it because they're not watching. You're watching yourself, so you should always meet or exceed those performance expectations in everything you do, including now. You know how well you're doing, and if you're not doing it up to standards, fix it. Positive attitude, strong work ethic. positive attitude. You have to go through everything anyway. If you have a positive attitude, you have a fighting chance. Negative attitude, you're already beating yourself up. You can change that too. Effectively communicate. If you're not talking to people, how do you expect them to talk back to you and communicate with you? Well, they didn't tell me that. Well, did you ask? Well, no. Why not? If you needed that information, why didn't you take the initiative to ask? Well, they didn't say. Why didn't you take the initiative? You're the one that needs the information. It's up to you to get your tools together. One of those tools is information. Be dependable and reliable all the time. Honesty. I can't make it to that. Oh, well, I was really hoping. I can't make it to that. Don't change your answer and say, I'll try or I will when you know you can't. Dependable, reliable, honesty. Be ready to hear feedback that you may not want to know. No, you didn't do that up to standards. Okay, what were the standards? Okay, I see that. I can improve this. Knowing what you didn't do correctly is a good thing, so you don't keep doing it. I would rather know what I'm doing wrong and be able to fix it than all of a sudden get a bad review, not get a raise, and potentially be fired. I'd rather be able to fix it than have it surprised upon me and just be let go with no chance to fix what I didn't realize I was doing wrong. And if you see something that might work better for the company, take that initiative. Hey, we're doing this. This might be better. Have you, any of y'all done that? You brought a good idea to the company. They may not have followed through on it, but you brought it to their attention. Even if they turn it down, keep bringing those ideas up. Even if you feel defeated, bringing them up and they don't follow through. Don't let somebody else put your candle out, okay? So this is how you're really going to know you're succeeding. How many people have ever wondered, how will I know if I've reached success? Have you ever wondered that? How will I know I've been successful? Because you're going to feel it. You're going to feel like you've done something. You're going to have professional development. You're going to see what you've achieved. You're going to have good relationships both at work and at home. Because if you're having a bad work relationship, it affects your home life. You're going to feel like you're doing something. And you're going to have this. This is something a lot of you don't have right now. Flexibility. You'll have the ability to go to another job if you want to. And not because you have to, if you want to, or I want to take time off to go on vacation. I want to move to another state and I can get a job there. This is flexibility. You are not stuck. And your personal growth. You have grown. You have choices that you can make that will benefit you. I had the ability to choose houses. I have the ability to choose cars. I have the ability to make decisions that I want that benefit me. That is a personal growth that you will have. And you do that by making a good career choice with a company. So I want you to think about this. I want you to find a company in your career field that you think you want to work for. Now, I'm not asking you to look for a job listing, but we told you about researching a company. And so you're going to do that. And I want you to find 3 specific details about that company. So you need to look at a little beyond and into that company. And some of the examples you can find are number of employees, what type of company growth they've had, their mission statement, the years in businesses, the locations, but find 3 details about that company. Don't forget to include the name of that company. I've had people do that in the past. So find that company you think you want to work for and 3 examples specifically about that company, details, okay, about them. All right. So that's what we're doing today. And after today, you will have 2 more days left and you will be done. If you are behind, please catch those up. I want this to be a one and done class for you. I don't want anybody to have to come back. So please catch those up. Your time is getting smaller and smaller. So any questions before we leave for the day? Everybody's good? Yes, yes. All right. Everybody wake up in the huddle over there. Everybody's good. Let's see those emojis. Yes, I'm talking to y'all over there. Yep, yep. All right. Okay, we will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m.